Right, hello everybody, welcome back to The Golden Sky. Today it is Friday, the 31st of October 2025. I'm Tom, and in today's video we're going to be previewing Liverpool's massive game at home to Aston Villa tomorrow night. The first game of November, getting us out of this hellish October month with only one win against Frankfurt in the Champions League. Every other game a loss. It's Halloween today, so happy Halloween. If you're out trick-or-treating tonight, the scariest thing you can do if you're a kid or you've got kids dressing up and you want to look scary, put a Liverpool shirt on. There's no scarier sight in the world at the minute than wearing a Liverpool kit. If I see one, I'm like, my eyes! Watching Liverpool at the minute is all tricks, no treats. It really is. So hopefully, as November comes around and we leave spooky season, we can get out of this horrendous run of form, starting maybe with a win against Aston Villa. And today we're going to preview that. We're going to look at how maybe we can do it, how Villa set up, how Liverpool might set up, we'll do the predicted lineups, and of course we'll do Super 6 at the end. But if you are new to the channel, we do match previews for every Premier League game, and we'll do some Champions League games as well when they're big enough and when I have enough time. So if you like the sound of that and you're new to the channel, please do click subscribe. We're trying to get to 200 subscribers. We're getting closer and closer, not so far off now, so please hit subscribe, help me get to 200, like the video, comment away, let me know what your score predictions are going to be as well for the game. It's going to be a good one. 8 PM, we played Villa at, in a similar fixture last season at home in the winter, I remember. I'm not sure exactly when it was, but I know it was a night game because I went to the game. I had some special fancy tickets that I got gifted, actually, that were in like the sort of VIP area of Anfield, or like not maybe VIP is not the right word. They were in like a lounge sort of access before the game, and then with padded seats right towards the cop end. They were really good. And I was buzzing I got to go to that game because we won that game 2-0. Nunez scored right at my end. That was great. And Salah scored right at the end to win, to seal off the victory. It was a really good game, and right before it, Brighton played Man City, who at the time were looking like our biggest title rivals. It was kind of, obviously last season, a bit of a shock how good we were, and City had the bad run of form, a bit like what we've had so far this season. And they lost to Brighton, and we were watching it in the sort of lobby bit before the game, and they lost. And it was already, the atmosphere was buzzing after that. We went out, beat Villa. It was an unbelievable night. So unfortunately not got tickets this year, but I'm hoping that everyone who goes to Anfield tomorrow creates the maddest atmosphere we've had this season so far, because the players need it right now. That they absolutely do. Morale is as low as it's been for Liverpool in years and years and years. It really is. So yeah, let's start the preview off by looking at Arne Slot's press conference from this morning, because he said a few things I just want to talk about, and then we'll do the predicted lineups. Well, the Liverpool predicted lineup. Sound good with you guys? Awesome, let's go and do it. So, he was asked a few things in the presser that I wanted to bring up in the preview. So, someone asked him about squad depth. Obviously, after playing the team he did on Wednesday against Palace, he has completely manufactured this situation of this game to be even bigger than it already would have been, even if we'd have won against Palace on Wednesday, because he's put all his eggs into this basket. You know, it's not Easter right now, it's Halloween, so maybe we can come up with a Halloween metaphor instead of that. He's put all of his sweets in the same bucket, okay? Does that quite have the same effect? I'm not sure. But what I mean by that is, he threw that game on Wednesday, prioritising the fitness of the players, because he knows how important it is to get a win today, or tomorrow even, against Villa. So someone asked him about squad depth and how we've played, and sort of what he thinks of the team, that kind of thing. And he said, I'm happy with the team and the performances. Red flag straight away. The quality that we have, and convinced by the strategy and the policy that we have. But that makes it the issue that not all of them, meaning the players, have had a proper pre-season or have been injured. So when 3 or 4 get injured, you go back to 15 or 16, and I'm convinced 20 players is enough, but we are struggling to keep them fit. And then he went on to talk about Isak only coming on September 1st, so it's been hard to keep him fit. And then he says we've been a little bit unlucky maybe. And then he said, we've had a few away games in a row with a few days rest in between. No excuses before people say we have to manage the situation. 3 games in 7 or 8 days. Nothing to do with squad depth, more just injuries and availability of players. So he keeps talking about this, doesn't he, recently? He keeps talking about these away games. I think he forgets that we've actually played 2 home games in this terrible run, Man United and Crystal Palace, and we've been destroyed by Palace in one of them and lost to United, our biggest rivals, in this run as well. I do see his point. Obviously, we've had a lot of travel, but like this is not new for Liverpool. This is not a new thing where we're in the Champions League. We're playing every 3 days. We're playing away games in tough places. Like this is not new. And like I feel like him putting so much of an emphasis on injuries, even though he says no excuses, I don't think it washes with me really. When we played Brentford last week, you know, we were so bad. We were completely outplayed by Brentford, and our team was much better than Brentford's. Going back to the start of the run, when we played Palace, our team's much better than Palace's on paper, even though they just bully us completely and beat us every single time we play them. Our team's better than United's. Our team's better than Galatasaray's. You know, all these teams we've lost to, our team is better than them, regardless of who's fit. We had Isak some of those games, you know? So it doesn't really wash with me. I wasn't so keen, and I was a little bit worried that he talked about that he was happy with the team. He did mention in the presser a little bit as well. I don't have the full quote in front of me. Again, about he said something like, usually when a team has more XG, then or like creates more chances than the other team, they win. And he said for us, this has been an extended period of maybe where we've been a little bit unlucky, been creating more chances than the other team, but losing. Now, I see what he's saying, because we have had games like that. The United game, we had better stats on paper, but he seems to be missing the point there for me. The point is we are creating these chances, maybe, not finishing them, definitely. And at the other end, we concede basically every time the other team has an attack because we can't defend. I think he's missing the point a little bit there, in my opinion. But there we go. He also talked a little bit more about Isak and Ekatike. He said, what did he say here? We handled the situation as it is. Isak, let me use as an example. Pre-season was inside the season. People ask me then, why does he play? Well, otherwise, I have to play Hugo Ekatike every game. So I understand what he's saying here. He has to try and get Isak to become fit. I mean, Isak's injured now anyway. So we can see maybe how we had to manage his minutes, and he still got injured. For this game at least. I don't think it's a big injury, but for this game, he's out again. He also talked about Frimpong. He said Frimpong and Bradley, if one is out, he has to play Szoboszlai right back more because the other one has to play more minutes. I hate that. He has Joe Gomez in the squad. Just play him at right back. We'll talk about Calvin Ramsey later as well. And then he said Owen Hargreaves showed him that, just before the press conference, showed him that Ekatike and Isak both played around 35 games last season. That's a bit of a strange quote. Why is Owen Hargreaves telling you how many players your players have played? Like, what? Shouldn't you know that? I don't know. I don't want to get on the manager, really, because everyone's on the manager at the minute, and I want to lay off him a little bit, but I'm just telling you what he said. Now, he got asked about long balls as well, and he said, people ask me why it was difficult, and I try to explain why. People don't ask me, can I come up with excuses? And then I give an answer. These 2 teams, meaning Aston Villa and Man City, so 2 of the next 3 teams that we'll be playing, bring it out from the back more, but they are very good at it. And Villa beat City via a set piece. So, confusing. If you were confused when I just read that answer, then I feel the same way, because is he saying Villa are good at playing out and they're going to come out more? Or is he saying they're good at set pieces? Is he making excuses? Is he not? I don't know. I think he's a little confused. He's under pressure, definitely. And we'll see how he handles it and how Liverpool handle it. So, talked a little bit there about his comments. Should we go and look at the predicted team, in my opinion, on the board? Let's go and do that. Okay, guys. So this is the predicted lineup. in my opinion, what I think Arne Slot will pick tomorrow night. Now, Mamardashvili's in the goal, we know that. Conor Bradley, I think, will start at right back with Konate and Van Dijk at centre backs. I think Robertson will start at left back. I think he will in this one. Szoboszlai and McAllister in the middle with Wirtz ahead of them. And then Salah, Ekitike, Gakpo. I think the front three sort of picks itself in this one. There are a few talking points. The first one I would say is 50-50 between McAllister and Ryan Gravenberch, because he did say in the press conference that Gravenberch trained yesterday and will train today, and they need to make a decision on if he can start. Now, Slot loves Gravenberch a lot, and Gravenberch honestly been one of our players this season who has been okay, like not a disaster. So you want him in the team, and Slot will want him in the team if he can play. I think if Gravenberch is fit, it will be for McAllister that he will play. McAllister did play an hour against Palace, was not very good at all, was took off. That was purely for minutes, which is why I've got him starting here. I think they've got a plan for him, clearly, to start this game. So I think he'll start. We might see Gravenberch off the bench. But it wouldn't surprise me if Gravenberch comes in here anyway. The same reason is really why I've picked Robbo. Kirk has played the full game against Palace. Robbo didn't. That says to me maybe Robbo is going to start. I think he should start as well. If I was in charge, I'd also pick Robbo. In fact, if I was in charge, I think I'd pick this exact team that I think Slot will pick. I think he'll nail the lineup, in our opinions. Maybe you've got a different one to me, but I think this is what he'll pick, and I think this is what I want him to pick. McAllister doesn't deserve to start games, but we don't really have anyone else at the minute, you know. The only person that I would say this team is harsh on is Chiesa. Maybe I would say Chiesa deserves to start, but I don't know who I'm taking out. You're gonna say Salah, but that's pointless because Salah's gonna start this game, no doubt about it. So it's pointless really arguing whether he deserves to or not because it's a moot point. He's gonna start. He probably doesn't deserve to, but he did score a great goal against Brentford. And basically the last thing he did when we saw him on the pitch. So maybe he has a bit more confidence going into this one. The other talking point, and I've written in my notes, I always write notes for the preview, and I've written here, talking about Calvin Ramsey, and in brackets I've just written, what? Because this is where we are. Calvin Ramsey is getting a mention on previews. Not Calvin Harris, Calvin Ramsey, the footballer, signed by us 3 years ago to be a backup for Trent. Consistently injured and on loan, unsuccessful loans really, through injury, until Wednesday night when he appeared out of the dungeons to play for Liverpool and played okay. I think he was alright. Like, people are overreacting. People want him to start this game. Liverpool fans want him to start this game. They were impressed by him in midweek. Now, I think people are overestimating how good he was because of the standard we've seen so far this season, particularly from Bradley. And also, the performance itself on Wednesday was so dire that he was a bright spark. However, he didn't set the world on fire for me. I thought he was okay. Just solid. People want him to start the game. I think that's a little bit crazy. Like, maybe Bradley will be shocking and maybe Ramsey might come on. But let's not forget, this guy's literally made less than 30 appearances over the last 3 years combined, pretty much. He's made 3 appearances total ever for Liverpool. He's 22 years old. Like, he's older than Kirkes. Like, I don't know. Maybe he's a late bloomer, but I don't think he should be starting this game. I think for me, what's an interesting thing about this team is how they will line up when we have the ball. I mean, especially. So, we've seen the last 3 games, 3 different formations, basically. And that's Frankfurt, that's obviously Palace and Brentford. So at Frankfurt, what we saw was, and I'll just move the attack to do this, we saw a formation that looks a little bit like this. So it was like Wirtz was out here, and then Gakpo, and then we had this sort of formation with, it was a bit of a 4-4-2, really, but then Wirtz would go into here, and the fullback would provide the width. So it ended up as that 3-2-5 that we see so many teams nowadays play like this. Especially when you're on the ball, you see teams play this sort of formation. It was a 3-2-5 with Wirtz defending as a 4-4-2 like this. It defended as a 4-4-2. We had Isak here instead of Salah, and then we had Chiesa eventually in that game, and we defended as a 4-4-2. When we attacked, Wirtz came inside, and the right back provided the width. It was Frimpong, and then it became Bradley, and it looked something like this. Then against Brentford, we went back to the more conventional 4-3-3, but it was a bit mad, really. Wirtz was off and out here, and then Jones and Szoboszlai were sort of back, and then we had Kirkes, who was just going wild down this left wing, but also sort of sitting here a lot. Brentford obviously left their 2 players forward, and then you can see we had Salah. It was just a bit of a mess. Like, this was sort of the formation. It's just a bit of a messy one when we've got the ball, but when we defended, it was supposed to be a 4-3-3, although we didn't actually have much defending to do apart from counter-attacks when we just go to chaos mode. So it was a 4-3-3. Then against Crystal Palace, we played, for the first time I've seen Liverpool in a long, long time, played a 3 at the back like this. So we had 3 defenders. Let's do this. Let's just use Szoboszlai as Gomez in the game. We had wing backs. Then we had 2 midfielders, and we had the front 3. Now, this to me, you could say Slot's experimenting. You could phrase it as he doesn't know what formation is best. You could say he's just using players that he had available to him. You could say he's trying to find a solution. Phrase it however you want. The situation is we don't really know how we'll line up in the game. I think that if he picks the team that I think he'll pick, it will be more of this formation that we saw against Frankfurt. But we have Robbo acting as that sort of third centre-back, Bradley providing the width, Salah tucked in, and then Wirtz sort of floating around with Gakpo out wide on the left. McAllister and Szoboszlai the double pivot, with Wirtz being able to go wherever he wants along this sort of number 10 position, get Salah close to the goal, and go with that. Now, if he plays Gravenberch, it'll be interesting to see whether he drops Gravenberch in as this back 3, sort of when we've got the ball like this, and maybe sends Robbo or Kirkes, whoever it is, further forward, and we end up with sort of maybe this as the 3-2-5, or maybe it'll be Gakpo wide like this. We have seen us do this type of thing. Who knows? It's going to be really interesting. Isak and Jones both not going to be fit for this game. He did say that's definitely going to be the case. They're not going to be fit. So how will we line up? We don't have much off the bench. Ekatike will probably have to come off after about 70, 80 minutes. Hopefully not. Hopefully he can play the full game, because unless we bring Chiesa on, we haven't really got anyone else. I do think we are, going to struggle when we have to make subs. But that said, this team on paper is fantastic. It's really good. Let's not forget that. Look at the players we've got here. We've got to be excited about these players. We have to. The 8 PM kickoff time, I think, will help. Last week, it was a hindrance to us. I think the atmosphere was unhelpful. This week, I think it will be helpful. We'll have the crowd will be desperate, bloodthirsty for a win. It really will. So can we get it? Who knows? Let's see. But let's put Villa on the board now and sort of talk about them and maybe what they do well. So let's go and do that now. All right, so this is the predicted Villa 11 for tomorrow's game. There is a Villa fan that I work with who assures me he's confident this will be the team. I have also looked around as well as to what people think online, and it seems the general consensus is this will be the team. The big talking points for Villa are that Emi Buendia is out injured. That is probably the biggest one. He has been a revelation for Villa so far this season. And my friend at work tells me that he's probably been the best player so far this season. So without him, it's going to be a big loss. He would have started this game. He started last time out against Man City in the Prem in place of Evan Gassond, who will probably take his place in this one. And McGinn will shift out to the left instead of the right where he played against City. The rest of the team, I think, is exactly what they started against Man City. It is, actually. And it's a really solid team. Morgan Rogers is finding a bit of form again, scored against Spurs, obviously, a really good goal in a game that they won away at Spurs. Number 10, I really like him, think he's a good player. Struggled a little bit so far this season when Villa were in a bad run of form, but they have kind of mirrored Liverpool, really. They didn't win any game, didn't even score a goal for, I think, the first 4 games in the Prem. They were, looking terrible. They're now unbeaten in their last 6 Prem games. I think they've won the last 4 maybe as well, including an away win at Spurs and then obviously beating City at home 1-0. That clean sheet absolutely key, keeping Haaland out from scoring. So they've improved. They've improved when we've worsened, and that's not great coming into a game where we have to play them, to be honest. They're getting stronger, we're getting worse. We're level on points with them, so if we lose, they'll go 3 points above us. Again, another team that will overtake us in the league as we slip further and further, but we're staying positive. You know, maybe we might get a victory, who knows. On Wednesday against Palace, I was feeling like we had no chance. Now, this always happens as the game comes around. I get a little bit of hope. Maybe this will be the one we play better in, but I've had that feeling for United. I had it for Brentford, and we were worse and then worse again. Palace, I had no expectations whatsoever because of the lineup. I'm hoping this time we turn it around and maybe we put in a performance that we can say, there we go, that's the real Liverpool that we know. So, what do Aston Villa do well in this formation? Well, when they have the ball, Villa, and I will show you some clips of them, they like to be extremely narrow. They get McGinn, he doesn't play as a left winger really, they get really narrow, really close around like this. You know, even if this was Buendia, they get really, really narrow, tight in. So when they play, they like to, very good at playing out. They get the ball, there's lots of little combinations. And basically, Watkins is the one who stretches the defence. So if a team presses high, let's say, let's make this situation. So let's put Liverpool in a situation where they would probably be pressing Villa. Let's give Villa a goal kick. And they will take the goal kicks like this. They will leave the fullbacks pretty high up the pitch. And then they have the midfielders drop in here. And then they have sort of this situation going on. Liverpool will be pressing like this. Bradley will be nice and high, you imagine. And then so will our defence. And what they do is, Pau Torres has a nice left foot on him. And they like to sweep balls in behind here like this. And Watkins makes runs in behind all the time. He's crucial to Villa. He's the only one really who runs in behind and stretches the defence. So let's say this ball gets played. You know, they're very good in these areas. They'll get the fullback in here. They'll try and play. And as we know, we've not been great at pressing. So if they do this and they end up with Digne, who gives them the width, same with Cash on this side when they get narrow, the width comes from the fullbacks. Let's say they manage to get a 3v2 over here with Wirtz and Salah. You know, they might work it, end up with Digne here. Pau Torres can flick this ball down this line. Digne can get onto it. Same with Watkins. If Watkins makes this run, you know, behind Kanate, Pau Torres can flick this ball down here. Now also, I must say Onana in the middle has been absolutely amazing in recent weeks for Villa, especially against City. Been really, really good. Really physical player, which is something we're going to have to deal with. We haven't dealt with it well at all. Physicality in the middle of the pitch so far this season and across the game, really, we haven't dealt with it well. He's very good at being pressed, so we might see situations where we're tight to him, the ball comes, maybe he just rolls away from McAllister and he's away, and then they give the ball to Rodgers, who's an excellent, excellent ball carrier. That's his biggest skill. Picks the ball up and just travels a long way with it. Now, Villa also, under Emery, are extremely flexible in their style. I think, anyway. They are not scared to change how they play mid-game, depending what the game state is. So we saw them against City, they obviously went 1-0 up, and at times they were defending where they did end up with Kamara dropping in to make the dreaded 5-4-1 that Liverpool just literally cannot handle. We did see this against City. They obviously had their goal, and they really did drop in to make this situation hard for Man City, and then they were counter-attacking, and what they want to do when they win the ball, like I said, they're all really narrow. So when they win it, let's say they've won it over here, they like to play and quickly get the ball to these players in the middle, get Watkins running in behind, and all of a sudden they've got Rodgers bearing down on our defence, they've got McGinn bearing down on our defence for counter-attacks. But they're not just a counter-attacking team, this is just a way they can adapt to the game. They are, however, second last in the league for expected goals. That means only Burnley have created less goal opportunities, really, than Villa so far this season. If you look at a table of the Premier League based on expected goals, so this shows you goals for and your goals against, and then your expected points on that. So it calculates basically how unlucky or lucky you've been. Villa actually would be 18th if things had worked out the way that data shows that it should have for Villa. That's a massive drop. They are, I think, 8th at the minute, so a massive drop. We would actually be 5th for those interested. I think we're 7th at the minute. So we've been slightly unlucky. Villa have been very lucky in terms of XG. They've outperformed their XG substantially. What does that mean? Well, for me, what it means is Arne Slot has been saying a lot about how the reason we've been losing games, we've been a bit unlucky, you know, if the XG's not gone our way, blah, 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 blah. We're creating more chances than other teams. Well, this is the ultimate test of that. A team who has been really poor in XG, can't create chances. Only Burnley worse. West Ham have a better XG than Villa. Like, let's put it that way. And it's not just XG that backs up this. The 17th for shots on target, 17th for big chances created, 17th for touches in the opposition box. Okay, so they aren't really a potent attacking side at all. If there's a chance to get a clean sheet, you know, it's here. They haven't been good attacking-wise, Villa. They're also 11th for long throws attempted. So the middle of the pack. They don't attempt long throws, really. It's not a tactic of theirs, really. Whether they'll do it against us, they'd be smart to, is a whole different story. But you can't blame that either. You can't blame long balls. They're 14th for long balls. They don't really play long. Like I said, they like to get the ball and they sort of go ping, 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 ping until it ends up with Rodgers or McGinn, with Watkins running in behind. That's the style of play. So we can't really say, oh, well, they're going to sit back and try and defend. I don't think they'll play a 5 at the back. I think it will be a 4 with 2 City midfielders. They might drop into a 5 at the back at times, but I don't think we can say that they're going to come back just to sit and defend. I think they'll try and play. They try and get on the ball. They have high possession stats. There's no excuses in this one for me. This is all the things that Slot's been saying. We've been struggling with set pieces, teams sitting back, getting unlucky with XG. Villa are the perfect team to show whether this is actually true or not, because they don't create goal chances, they don't really take set pieces, and they don't really sit back and defend. And we're at home. Like, this is the time now, Arne. We need to turn it around now, okay? But let's go and look at some of Villa's play, just so I can show you a little bit more, maybe, of how they play and what I've noticed about them in the most recent games. All right, so this is Villa's win against Man City from last weekend, and I put these in. Not many pictures here, guys, but just a few to show you that what I've just been talking about how Villa set up is how it looks on the actual pitch. So McGinn played on the right wing this game. I think he'll play on the left this time, but you see his position. He's super narrow. He's really, really close to Rodgers, who is also then really, really close to Watkins. You see them really narrow. They've got the ball. This is Buendia, who played on the left side. You know, they're trying to play out here. They do really well in this situation. And then you've got the double pivot of Kamara and Onana right here. Also, you've got Digne. You can see he's providing the width, really advanced, not afraid to run forward, even when Villa don't really have the ball in settled possession. That's the freedom that the fullbacks have for Villa. This works out, and they end up with Rodgers, like we said, getting on the ball, driving at the defence. He ends up with a pass to Watkins, who's made that in-behind run. Again, look at Digne. He's flew forward from left back, and McGinn on the other side. Great transition from Villa. The ball comes to Watkins. He takes a bit of a heavy touch here and it ends up over here. But if he takes a better touch, you know, he's got a clear chance on goal. They don't score from this. They did actually win this game 1-0, obviously, but not from this chance. Now, similar situation. This time this is Jadon Sancho who came on when Buendia got injured. But look how narrow they are again. Look at Rodgers and McGinn. Stood right next to each other in the middle of the pitch. And here's the other attacking midfielder. Really, I mean, I suppose they're over on the left side, but that's where the ball is. But you can see how close together they all are, the three of them. And look at Watkins straight away. He's trying to run off Ruben Dias immediately. He wants to stretch City, give them that ball in behind. And Villa are ready to counter-attack. The ball comes to McGinn. Look, Watkins has made this run. He's forced Dias back from the halfway line. And now they have the opportunity to run forwards against Man City's exposed defence with McGinn and with Rodgers, basically in tandem next to each other. They get the ball to Watkins. Now City have to come across and press him. Watkins gets the ball across. McGinn's continued his run. And he has this shot. It goes wide. It could go into that far corner. And he could even lay it to Rodgers, who's screaming for it. This is how Villa play. You can see here they're getting the ball really narrow. They're getting the ball from back to front really quick. And they are nice and narrow when they try and play. Similar situation again. This time they're playing out from the back. You see how confident they are. Martinez is out his box, joining up with the build-up. Pau Torres, really good on the ball. And then you've got the double pivot, Onana, asking for it under pressure. Fullback, high and wide, Matty Cash. Pau Torres plays the ball into the middle. Here's Ross Barkley, who's come on, look, completely in the middle of the pitch, nice and narrow once again. Rodgers also not too far behind. And look, Gesson is on as well. Watkins, look how close together they all are. They like to get players around each other. Quick interplay, the ball goes to Barkley again. He slots Watkins through again, running forward. On another day, he maybe touches this round Donnarumma, puts it in the net. He didn't quite get to this ball. Donnarumma does get to it before him, but it's just, again, more examples of how Villa are able to play. So this is what they do well. And this is their average position from the game against Man City. I put this little map in because I thought it was interesting. So you see Digne here, number 12, really, really advanced. Like Villa's second most advanced player behind Watkins, who's way more advanced than anyone else because he just runs in behind all game long. He might not have the goals to show for his play this season, which means he'll probably score a hat-trick against us on the weekend. But he's giving so much to this Aston Villa team with his work off the ball. It's not always on the ball where a game is won. It's off the ball. He creates this opportunity to push. If a defence wants to stand here, but Ollie Watkins is constantly running in behind, it means that they have to drop back to here to follow his run. And that means Rodgers, McGinn can just bear down on defences. With Digne and Cash coming forward, you can see even Cash is quite high. This is what we like to do. So, what don't we do so well, or where can Liverpool maybe get at them? Well, I put a few clips in just to show maybe something that might expose Villa. They're a pretty decent defensive side, you know, that I would describe them as middle of the pack at the minute defensively. We're definitely bottom of the pack. We just concede goals for fun, chances for fun. Even I don't care what our numbers say. We are shocking at defending. This is Man City just trying to play out. You can see not really much pressure on the fullback, and he's able to clip the ball. And Villa like to play really high. They play nice and high. They've done this for a few years under Emery. We've seen places like this where Trent had the ball at right back and he's been able to chip it over the top to Salah. We've been through. We scored goals like that against Villa before. This is similar. The ball goes to Bernardo Silva. He's managed to make a run from deep, get past Villa's back four, who have to now drop back. He controls the ball. He lays Haaland in, and Haaland misses this, believe it or not. But another day, this is a goal. Then I put this one in against Go Ahead Eagles. They lost this game before they played City, and they were terrible in this game by all accounts, according to my workmate once again. I can't say I watched Villa versus Go Ahead Eagles. I must say I did watch the highlights in preparation for this video, which is how I got these clips, though. You can see again, look at Villa's line. So Go Ahead Eagles pretty high with the ball, but Villa not giving them much respect, you know, not dropping back to the edge of the box, staying quite high. And what it needs to beat this is runs in behind. You see, runs in behind. So Ekatike, key for this. Salah, key for this. And then our midfielders need to be, you know, brave with their passing, accurate with the passing. This is a great ball. The ball comes through. You see, they get through nice and easy. One pass over the top. This is actually a goal. They score from this. Go Ahead, Eagles. This is how you get at Villa. You have to get at them, make runs in behind, exploit the high line. That's how you have to play against them, in my opinion. So that's clips, that's Villa, that's Liverpool. Let's finish off with Super 6 to finish the preview. Okay, as always, to finish the preview, we are going to do Super 6 to try and win that elusive £1 million. So Nottingham Forest against Man United and Burnley against Arsenal to start off. Well, let's first do Forest United. United, can they win 4 in a row? I'm going to say no. I think this is where the wheels fall off. 2-1 to Forest. I think Dyche gets his first, gets Forest back on track there, and United lose, and the wheels fall off again. But I certainly won't be predicting an upset in this one. There's no chance Burnley score against Arsenal, who are unbelievable at defending, by the way. This will be a win for Arsenal. It's just a case of how many. Let's go with 3-0. I reckon that'll be popular. 2-0. And 1-0 in the Forest United game. So no one giving the home teams goals there. I think Forest score a few goals against United personally, but there we go. Palace against Brentford, the Liverpool killers here. Palace especially. Oh my God, do they own us at the minute? Wow. I fancy Palace in this one, I think, which will be pretty popular, I imagine. Oh, Cara thinks a 1-1. I don't know. I quite fancy them. I'm going to go 3-1 to Palace, I think. Spurs, Chelsea. Ooh. This one's got draw written all over it, I think. I don't mind that 2-2 from the admin there. I think I'm going to copy that 2-2. I'm going to go in that one. West Ham, Newcastle. Well, West Ham have been shocking. But Newcastle not been amazing either. However, I will give Newcastle the win in this one. I'm going to go a 2-1 away win to Newcastle. And then City, Bournemouth. This will be a tough one for both teams good here. Lots of people think City, a bit of disrespect shown to Bournemouth. I think... Oh, do I think City get the win? Yes, I think I probably do. But I'm going to go 2-1. I'm just not confident about that one, but I'll go with it. Admit. Submit. 62-1. Who knows? Probably won't come in, but let's see. All right, guys, that is going to do it for today's match preview. Liverpool versus Aston Villa, 8 p.m. Saturday night. Under the floodlights at Anfield, a massive game. We must win, otherwise it's 7 losses in 8 games, which is just disastrous, really. It really is. So let me know what your score predictions are going to be in the comments, and if you did enjoy the video, please do drop it a like. Let's try and get to 20 likes, and let's try and get to 200 subscribers. If you're new to the channel, you've watched the preview, subscribe to the channel. There's going to be match ratings tomorrow for all the players. Hopefully the happy ratings and not angry ratings like we've seen in recent weeks. Let's get back to some good form. Let's get a win, please, Liverpool, and get back on track. So until the ratings tomorrow night, guys, I hope you have a good Friday night, and hopefully Liverpool get a win, make Saturday a good one as well. Speak to you all very soon. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.